Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60.
Buckle up indeed, and welcome to Soccer in 60, brought to you by SAC Health System. This is the fastest-paced soccer show in SoCal, covering all the week's news, highlights, and more from LAFC, the Galaxy, Angel City, Orange County Soccer Club, and of course, the Major Arena Soccer League Zone, Empire Strykers. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, J.R. Liebert, and it is another Mount Rushmore panel to begin this episode of Soccer in 60. The Orange County Soccer Club superfan and Soccer in 60 OG himself, Tim Kolotz. Timmy K, what do you say?
Hey, you know what? It's a beautiful day in SoCal, Scarf, and I'm stoked to be part of the party that is Soccer in 60.
Happy to have you, my friend. One half of the Lacuna Galaxiana podcast, Ananda Karana. Ananda, welcome back.
Good to be back, everyone, and the Fearsome Foursome is here to rock and roll.
Absolutely, and rounding out that Fearsome Foursome, Cara Lang Romero, a former Canadian soccer legend. All she's done in playing 2 World Cups and the Olympics. Cara, welcome back to Soccer in 60.
So happy to be here, guys. Lots of exciting games since the last time we were all together.
Oh, yeah, lots of things to talk about here. That's why they call it the fastest-paced soccer show in SoCal. We've also got a fantastic interview with new Empire Strykers forward Zakhar Shkidchenko. That's going to be a lot of fun. Wait till you hear his story. That should be a wonderful interview. But that being said, lots of wonderful football, like Cara said, going on around the Southland. First and foremost, I got to say, CONCACAF Champions Cup kicking things up a notch. Both LA Galaxy and LAFC have been in the midst of their first round ties. This should be a good one, as we are recording parts of this while that second tie is going on for the Galaxy. So this should be a fun one. But before we get into that, let's check in with our friends over at Omnitrans. In partnership with the Empire Strykers, experience the thrill of game day with Omnitrans. Be in the heart of the action at Toyota Arena and let Omnitrans take care of the ride. Simply download the Transit app to catch your bus and enjoy a stress-free trip to cheer on the Strykers. Don't miss out on the excitement and make every moment count at Toyota Arena. Ride with Omnitrans to your next Empire Strykers game. All right, it's time to talk some Galaxy. We've got Ananda, let me ask you real quick, starting off the gate, they get their CONCACAF Champions Cup run underway with a 1-1 draw to Sporting San Miguelito. Now, I know this is something that you are familiar with from last season, maybe a little bit of a slower start out of the gates, but I wanted to get your thoughts on that opening draw to Sporting San Miguelito.
Yeah, we do a little segment on our podcast, Scarf, called the one-word reaction, and I had 2 words, and it was just enough. Like, it was the bare minimum, right? The Galaxy, if you look at their history, the Galaxy have never had a good record going down to especially Central America for games. And so this is one of those where you needed to do what you needed to do, which is at least get a result. So in this case, it was a draw, and that was probably the bare minimum result that Greg Vanney, and the team needed. We talked about this, guys, last episode with the Fearsome Foursome here, which is the cautious approach that Greg Vanney and the LA Galaxy might take. And we kind of saw a little bit of that. Unfortunately, the goal that was given up was just a sloppy sort of individual mistake. But at least in the second half, the Galaxy got the goal, and it sets up the tie that's actually going on right now, where the Galaxy, they have less pressure to score, but they definitely still need to get a result at home to advance.
Yeah, and this is going to be a fun one because our producer Gunnar Burnt is going to the game. I know you're excited about that one too. So we're gonna stitch some things together here on Soccer in 60. You get to see a little bit of how the sausage is made. Cara, let me ask you: with all of the pressure of last season and how they got out of the gate winless in their first, I believe it was 16. This draw to Sporting San Miguelito, and then we'll talk about the NYCFC result as well. Does it put a little more pressure on Greg Vanney, or is Ananda correct? Did they do just enough to get by?
I think they did just enough to get by. It was actually more of an experienced lineup thrown out there than I was expecting, because I really thought that they were just going to play for a draw with the congested schedule that they have, and with NYCFC as soon as they got back on Sunday. So I was actually surprised that they went for it as much as they did, even with the bit of a mixed lineup that it was. But yeah, I think with the result against San Miguelito plus another draw against NYCFC, I do think that it would be a good sign for this club, and it would look a lot better for Greg Vanney if they can pull off a win. Yes, a draw would be fine with that away goal that they've got, but I just think for momentum and morale for this club coming off the season that they had last year, that they need a decisive win tonight.
Yeah, Carl, let me stick with you for a second, too. When talking about that NYCFC result, 2 minutes in, their new talisman does exactly what he is supposed to do. Joao Klaus with the goal in what the broadcasters called a dream start, and it certainly was for the Galaxy there at home. Your thoughts on Joao Klaus, and first of all, that pass from Marco Reus was also beautiful, but that goal in general and how it got him off to a fast start.
Yeah, I mean, my expectations, I think, as well as everybody else's, were very high for LA Galaxy after they struck so early, and it was a beautiful goal. Definitely right place, right time for Joao Klaus, showing exactly why he is such a great addition to this team, and Marco Reus showing the quality that he has with that cheeky back heel as well. I think from there, though, Galaxy, they had very little possession and struggled to find rhythm defensively. They were organized and compact, though. Jacob Glesnes was calm and confident once again, providing much needed stability and leadership at the back. NYCFC outshot Galaxy, but their only shot on target was a penalty. They couldn't break Galaxy's defensive lines. I thought Sanabria was creative and effective, while Hack, he gave the ball away a little too often. The biggest takeaway for me, though, while Joao Klaus was a big standout performance, the biggest takeaway was that Galaxy shut down a very good NYCFC team. It was clear that the club's priority in the offseason was shoring up that back line. Greg Vanney spoke about how the goals against was a glaring need to correct for them. And it looks like they've got that sorted. And now for me, it's about the midfield and finding a way to be more creative going forward. Plus the sellout crowd of 25,000. What a great atmosphere. Maybe not a dream start for the Galaxy, but definitely something to build off of.
Ananda, I have to ask you about Emiro Garces picking up that second yellow, which turned obviously into a red there in the 65th minute for that challenge in the box. He was a player that I know took a step forward last season in getting some good minutes. What did you see from Emiro Garces in this one? And is the red a sign of things to come, or is he just getting a little froggy early on in the season?
Yeah, I think in this game you saw the best and the worst of Emiro Garces, unfortunately, all in the span of 90 minutes, or I guess 67 in this case, right?
Right.
One of the things that the Galaxy fans have been talking about is just, you know, he can be such a great defender with his physical attributes. I mean, he has speed for days, but the problem is, and this is like maybe taking a cue out of Jakob Glesnes or my Yoshida's playbook, which is that coolness, that calmness, that composure, managing your distances as a defender, not lunging in every single time. Like the first yellow card in the first half was completely avoidable. The second one was a little tough. I gotta admit, like at face value, when it first happened, I was like, ooh, I think that's a penalty. But then when you look at it again, the call in the field was not a penalty. It was a non-call, and VAR called it back, right? And so in that case, I think the trouble that I have with that particular play is it wasn't a clear and obvious error. And unfortunately, you know, it sent Emiro Garces to the locker rooms early. But having said that, Emmy being put in that position, it was just tough. Like, and it's just one of those things where he doesn't need to, the defender's going away from goal. Maybe the goalkeeper has that one covered, but it's a tough one to take. And that's the gripe with Emiro Garces. Like I said, the good and the bad with Emiro Garces in this game.
Yeah, it's tough. Timmy K, I got to ask you, I want your thoughts on something here. The Galaxy, to get roster compliant, bought an international roster spot from Toronto for $425,000 in GAM, $200,000 this year, $225,000 next year. I know you deal with financial stuff all the time. Timmy K, I'm going to defer to you. Did the Galaxy get fleeced by Toronto, or is Toronto trying to pay Josh Sargent's deal with selling international roster spots?
I think it's the Sargent deal. This is a tough one because you're just kind of looking at it and you're thinking, well, what are they going to do here? And, it's 250, like you said, and 200. This is just it's a kind of a head scratcher, but when you got $400,000 of GAM money sticking around, you got to spend it somehow, I guess.
and they have to get roster compliant either way, right? All right, let's talk about Christian Ramirez real quick before we look ahead to this match against Sporting San Miguelito. He fired on his day off, right? Christian Ramirez released 33 matches, 5 goals, 1 assist. Cara, you've been covering Southland soccer for quite a while now. He is a name synonymous with the Southland, the local boy, but just never could really find his fit with Galaxy, kind of the way it worked out with LAFC too. Your thoughts on the release of Christian Ramirez?
Yeah, I think with Klaus coming in and Nascimento coming back, the writing was sort of on the wall. I think a lot of us were actually surprised when he was brought back at the beginning of the preseason. And he's a proven contributor, though, in the league, as we saw with Columbus. And I'm sure he'll get picked up. I was rooting for him to make a statement this season after a disappointing one in 2025, but it just wasn't the right fit with the Galaxy. So I think at the end of the day, for him, it might even be for the best so that he can find a team where he fits better.
Yeah, he's definitely got some time with that one. Galaxy, not a lot of time, as playing Sporting San Miguelito today and then Charlotte on Saturday. Ananda, your thoughts you had talked about this quite a bit, right? 4 matches in, I believe, 10 days. Your thoughts on what that lineup is going to look like when they take on Charlotte?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the starting lineup for tonight, Scarf, and it's a pretty strong lineup. Again, do or die match in the CCC against Sporting San Miguelito. So having said that, depending on how long this game goes, I expect to see a little bit more of a rotation, like guys like Marco Royce, guys like even Jakub Glezis. Mai Yoshida's in the lineup today. So I think you're going to see a little bit of a rotation for Charlotte, but it's probably one of those things where Greg's saying, okay, this is a do or die game. I'm going to put more of my focus in this game because we got to advance to the next round, and then maybe take a little bit of a hit because I have to manage a 34 game MLS season. Right. So I think it's not an easy job for Greg, but someone's got to do it, and glad it's not me.
Yeah, and look, it's an embarrassment of riches on the back line, right? Where you have guys like Jakub Glesnes, and you can bring in Yoshida, and I mean they're a really solid back line so far. So it should be fun. We'll see what happens with Sporting San Miguelito. Gunnar and I will talk about that with the magic of editing a little bit later. Is actually right now. Again, magic editing, and look, it's Gunnar live on location from Dignity Health Sports Park. Gunnar, you just witnessed a thrilling 0-0 draw against Sporting San Miguelito. I know they had 1 goal called offside in the first half, but tell me your impressions of this match, scoreless at home for the Galaxy.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Scarf, as they're turning the lights off on me here, I got to say, honestly, a little bit disappointed. I just came out of the press conference. Greg Vanney, a Galaxy head coach, I don't want to say explaining it away, but giving some background. They're playing 4 games in, I think, 10 or 5 games in 10 days. So he basically said, my players are just really relieved that they got through. They're just really happy that they got through. They're not too worried about, did we score a lot of goals? For me personally, and Vanney also said, by the way, we knew that we'd go through on away goals if the score stays the way it is. So maybe if that hadn't been the case, I might have pushed a little bit more, and we might have to change the tactics to be a little more attack oriented. For me personally, the question that I have is, in speaking to him last season, he said the big problem that Peck and Paintsville have, right, your DP wingers, your high-profile wingers, is without Ricky Puig, they have to initiate transition plays, and they're not good at it. They want to be on the end of those, and they want to then find the forward in the middle, the center forward. And I'm not really seeing at the moment what the solution to that is. The Galaxy has addressed defensively by bringing Glesnes in. They have Joao Klaus, who can score goals for them, but they still don't have a Ricky Puig type player, in my opinion. Eric Tommy, can he fill that role? It remains to be seen. But I see at the moment from this game, I see that same problem still persist, and I'm not sure what the answer is to that at the moment.
And listen, you can look up and down MLS rosters. There aren't Ricky Puig type players in Major League Soccer. He is a special singular talent for sure. 0-0 though, this third straight match winless. They've got to start to feel the ghosts of 2025 with that 16-match winless streak. We'll see. But like you said, they back their way into a second-round match, a winnable matchup, very certainly, against Mount Pleasant Football Academy. So 0-0. There's Gunnar live on scene at Dignity Health Sports Park. Thanks, Gunnar. But that being said, let's head a few miles up the road to LAFC. It was a busy week for LAFC. There were actually, I think, 3 matches since we last came on the air. Let's talk about the 2 Real España ones kind of together, right? The first match, Timmy K, I'm going to throw this over to you first. We go down to Honduras and absolutely dismantle the Real España in front of their own crowd. It was 4-0 in 25 minutes in the blink of an eye, as their head coach said in one of the press conferences. And what does that mean now that they were able to kind of put that away so early to be able to kind of rest on the back leg of this 2-legged tie?
Yeah, I think this was something that they had to do. They came out flying. It was 4-0, like 20, 25 minutes in. And you talked about it pre-show, Scarf, is that you walked into BMO last night and had never been more relaxed in your life because you knew the other guys had to score 6 goals inside of BMO, and that's just not going to happen. And so they were, they put Sonny and Denis and, several regular starters out there, but they cycled those guys out at halftime. They put a bunch of guys in that need some minutes, right? Especially this early in the season. And I think for LAFC, it just made the most sense to do that because at the end of the day, you win 7-2, right, in aggregate. And that's what they needed early in the season so they didn't have to worry about it and to move into this round of 16.
Yeah, luckily, actually just 7-1 because of a fantastic penalty save right there at the end. Kara, you've been covering this team for CBS Sports Central, and I want to ask you about a player who got a lot of run in that second match at BMO Stadium against Real España, Amin Budry, the 21-year-old Swedish midfielder who got a ton of run and played really well, looked very good in the process.
He did. I was really excited to see Amin Budry debut. I've been waiting to see him out there and really see how he fits into this system. He hasn't had as much time as the rest of the players in the preseason, so he's still clearly integrating and finding his role, but he did look great on the ball, super technical, and especially taking his defender on 1v1 down that left side and cutting it back for Tyler Boyd, who I think he would agree should have definitely put that opportunity away. So for Amin Budry, it would have been nice for him to get an assist in his first match for LAFC. I think he'll be a great depth option until he gets more settled. Nice to have that kind of attacking threat as an option late in the game for now. We may see him play more of a role later on in the season, but for now, I think it's just what a great option on the bench.
Yeah, Ananda, I want to ask you a quick question too. We talked about how in pre-show how Denis and Sonny still started and played 45 minutes in a match that they were essentially up 6-1 on aggregate going into. If that's, Gabriel Peck, Joseph Paintsel, like, how are you feeling about the decision of Marc Dos Santos, who, again, he's coached a lot of teams and has a lot of head coaching experience, but I don't think he's ever coached 2 players like Sonny and Denis. What are your thoughts on still starting the 2 big superstars and having to go full 45?
I mean, look, if they're fit enough to do it, it's always an injury risk, right? That's always like the caveat here. But look, I think Marc Dos Santos probably knows these players better than anyone. He sees them in training every day. He probably talks to the physios in terms of, how they are physically, how quickly they approach the red line, as they like to call it, right, in the sport. So, like, I'm sure he knows them better than any of us. So, look, if it's more about rhythm and making sure you take that rhythm into the next match away at Houston, I believe, that's important for rhythm, right? But the only thing is you've got to manage them over 30. It's a long season. You don't want to peak too soon, right? It's a very long season, but I'm sure Marc Dos Santos and his physios have it covered.
Yeah, it's going to be a 50 to 55 match season if LAFC has things break their way. Timmy, I have to ask you, we talked about a second keeper off air with JT Marcinkowski starting for Galaxy in this match against Sporting San Miguelito. Well, our second keeper, Tomas Hasal, nicknamed the Wall for his exploits at stopping penalty kicks, and lo and behold, at the death, I mean, essentially the last meaningful touch of the ball game, is Tomas Hasal making a big save on a PK in front of a very loud and Raucous Real España supporting section back there. Your thoughts on this kid and the ability that he was able to, the action that he was able to show in his short time on the pitch?
Yeah, it's big. We talk about it all the time on the show. You got to have at least one good backup goalkeeper. You look at it in hockey, you got to have a couple of backup goalkeepers there as well. And for him to come in and play like he did, and then again stop that penalty kick, it's one of these things where it just bodes well for the season as a whole, because then you can have, your starting keeper go out for a couple of games, or, I'm not going to say injured or anything, but give the guy a day off, and especially with a 50-game season like you just mentioned, you got to have somebody else that you can put between the sticks.
Yeah, so LAFC moves on to face Alajuelense in Costa Rica, a familiar foe to them as they played them in CONCACAF Champions Cup in 2023. That first match will be March 10th at BMO Stadium, and then March 17th in Costa Rica. That's a fun way to spend your St. Patrick's Day celebrating down in Costa Rica. Cara, I want to ask you, some of the biggest news to come out of soccer in the last couple of days was Denis Bouanga signing that extension. Look, we don't have any financial terms yet, but we know it'll be a significant upgrade. I believe, Cara, he's the 19th highest paid player in Major League Soccer before this contract. But it looked like those overtures from Fluminense and Inter Miami had a little bit of effect on LAFC's bottom line.
Definitely. I mean, make no mistake, Denis Bouanga is about to get paid, and he deserves to. This extension means LAFC's kept one of the most important players in MLS for the foreseeable future. So it's huge. They've stabilized their attack, warded off transfer interest, and it proves that they are serious about trophies going forward. And for Bouanga as a player, this deal isn't just security, it's clarity, it's confidence, and it puts him in the best possible position to play free, lead fully, and pour everything into LAFC without distractions.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that now he'll be able to pour everything fully in with 105 goals over his first 3 seasons and some change, right? But I think that it wouldn't surprise any of us if we look at the highest paid players in MLS, and when Tom Bogert breaks the news, of course, because he always finds everything out first. If he's top 5 in salary, I don't think any of us would be very surprised at all. We did mention no rest for the weary, as LAFC will play their 4th match in 11 days at the Houston Dynamo Saturday, February 28th. And Carl, let me throw one back to you real quick. It'll be a reunion with one Mateusz Bogusz, who's now a designated player in Houston. He looked okay the first 90 minutes with Houston in their last match, but let me ask you, you're such an experienced soccer player, first, obviously, with World Cups and Olympics under your belt, but were there ever players on the other side where you looked at and you had all the good feels, but then once you start those 90 minutes, you're not friends anymore?
100%. I have never been the type of person that is friends with the opposing team. It depends on the person, but for me, the moment we step on the pitch, we are enemies. And I would hear from players on other teams after they'd meet me and they'd be like, "Oh, wait, you're actually like kind of nice. We thought you were a total jerk." And I'm like, listen, once we cross that white line, everything changes. So I don't think there will be any love lost. I think great for Mateusz Bogusz. I'm glad he's also getting paid. He very much deserves it. He's developed so well since his time at LAFC. I think it'll be interesting because he knows those guys very well. So I think that'll be an advantage for them, but also they'll know how to shut down Bogish. So I think that it's going to be an exciting matchup and very interesting to see how it all plays out. But no, definitely no love lost.
Yeah, it'll be great to see Maddie on the pitch again, just in the wrong colors, that's for sure. We are going to say goodbye to Ananda Khurana. Thank you once again for joining us here on Soccer in 60. Hey, Soccer in 60 fans, it's Scarf once again, and I know, whoa, one person real big on your screen right there. We are really leaning into the magic of editing on this episode. After wrapping our initial portion of our LAFC segment, we ran out of time to talk about one particular LAFC match that occurred this last week. The Mammoth 3-0 opening weekend win over Lionel Messi and Inter Miami in front of, 76,000 people at the iconic Coliseum. What an atmosphere. What a night, especially for the black and gold. While Inter Miami certainly had their chances, it was a complete team effort from the home side. David Martinez keeping up his hot start here in 2026, scoring a goal in the first half, beautifully set up by Son Heung-min for his 4th assist of the season already. Denis Bouanga front-flipping LAFC to a 2-0 lead, his 105th goal in an LAFC shirt. And of course, super sub Nathan Ordaz, who was an incredible story last year as his emergence for LAFC sort of kind of found them a third option when they needed a third, although with Sonny and Denis, they didn't need it all that often. He brought the dagger in stoppage time, 3-0 in a very, very convincing win. A fun note, it was Son Heung-min's first ever win over a Lionel Messi-led squad. LAFC has now been a part of the 2 largest crowds in Major League Soccer history. Of course, this one, which was number 2 at just under 76,000, and the largest crowd to ever see an MLS match, the 2023 Galaxy versus LAFC clash at the Rose Bowl. LAFC is now undefeated in 9 straight MLS regular season openers. They've never lost on opening weekend. They are 9-0-0 through their first 9 years. And again, an incredible night there at the Coliseum. It's something that really felt like an LAFC home match, though there were a lot of Inter Miami jerseys there too. So we want to make sure we got to that one. And of course, through the magic of editing, we just did. But now we are going to hear from the incredible Zakhar Shkidchenko, a fantastic interview with our producer, Gunnar. This one is fantastic, so please stick around for this interview.
All right, thanks, guys. Our guest today is a brand new forward with the Empire Strykers who brings international pedigree and a powerful left foot to Southern California after a journey that began in his native Ukraine, a product of the famous Dinamo Kyiv Academy. He moved to the U.S. at 17 and played in college as well as locally in Chicago before finally breaking into the MASL. He will remind us that pro athletes don't exist in a vacuum, as many of the people he cares about have been affected by Russia's war against Ukraine. We're so happy to have with us Zakhar Shkidchenko of the Empire Strykers. Zakhar, welcome to Soccer in 60.
Thank you so much for having me, Gunnar.
Yeah, of course. Really appreciate your time. You're at the training facility, so we don't want to keep you for too long. We don't want to make the head coach angry at us. You mentioned in your signing announcement, which I wrote, that you weren't previously able to pursue career moves like the one with the Empire Strykers now. Do you mind elaborating a little bit on that? What's changed that's now allowed you to sign with Empire, and how did the opportunity come about for you?
Obviously, because I wasn't born in the United States, the process for the foreigners is a little bit different. Basically, we do need to obtain work authorization, which only allowed us after college graduation, or if you get permanent status, like get married or stuff like that, basically. If you adjust the status for a permanent resident, then you can pursue any career possibilities. So I actually recently got married. Well, not recently now, But because of that, I was able to get the authorization for work, which allows me to pursue anything I really like. Before that, I was a college graduate and I only could work in the industry that actually was my specialization for the degree. So let's say if nothing will happen, like if I would just be fresh out of college with the work authorization, I would not be able to play.
That makes sense. And I know actually quite a bit about that, being from Germany. That's a conversation we can have off the air one of these days. But let me talk to you. You said specialization, right? Your main specialization is the game of soccer, right? And you recently played in your first 2 games, professional indoor soccer against Milwaukee. And then against Tacoma. And against Tacoma, you actually scored your first 2 goals, played well in both games. Talk to me a little bit about that massive win against Milwaukee by 1 goal, and then the drubbing against Tacoma. You handled them comprehensively. You scored a couple goals, as I said. How did you feel from the first game to the second game, and what did you think of the performances from the team?
Well, the most important thing was that we won both games. Obviously, it's always nice to pick up the points at home. It's also always expected to beat teams at home. Playing in MSL is very hard schedule, and it's very hard on the body also. When you're flying in, you have to play a game. Flying out, you have to play a game next day. So some of the players might be fatigued, and fortunately for us, we handled Milwaukee. Obviously, they were at the first place, and I feel like they're a very strong team. I play with those guys all the time when I'm in Chicago, so I know them personally. They know me, so it was a good matchup. Unfortunately, I didn't play big minutes, but it was my first game, so I understand kind of like easing me into it. And for Tacoma, we got big lead in the first quarter, obviously extended to the first half. It was a big lead, and there was just no way we're going to take the foot off the pedal. We needed to make a statement. We're at home. It was a dominant performance from us. We just have to clean up some transitional moments.
Mm-hmm. And I should add a dominant performance in front of over 6,200 people, which was pretty cool being there. Now I asked you after the game to send a message in your native language in Ukrainian to anyone watching in Ukraine, and you ended that by thanking your dad and your aunt, saying they always watch your games and they've always been there for you. Why was it something that was important to you? Why did you want to recognize them? And what can you tell us about your relationship with those 2 individuals?
Well, my dad, he always supported me since the beginning. He always wanted me to play soccer. When I was in the academy, actually, Dinamo Kyiv, I did not want to pursue it because it was just hard. There was a lot of competition. Some of the kids were being called out for the national team. So, but my dad, he refused for me to give up. And even though I was on the lower side of the academy, he kept pushing me to be better. And just because of that, because I stayed and because my dad pushed me, I broke through and got recognized for my hard work. So. And my aunt, she always helped me. That was actually my stepmom. I just call her my aunt, but it was my stepmom, and she, even though I'm not her child, but she treats me like I'm her own. So I'm very grateful to have her in my life, obviously, and my aunt, who is in the United States. She also helped me big time when I was here in college. So those 3 people there, my catalyst.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's amazing. And shifting gears on a less of a lighter note, speaking of people that you're close to, we mentioned in the intro that you are from Kyiv, obviously, and that your family and many of your friends have been affected by the Russian aggression against your home country. If you don't mind, could you tell us just a little bit? I know we can only kind of scratch the surface here, unfortunately, but tell us a little bit about where your family is now, how they're doing, and some of the ways in which the people you care about have been affected.
Well, a lot of things have changed since it first began. it's been over like 4 years for now. But fortunately enough, my family was able to get off because they only keep in the country, so they do not allow any males from 18 to 60 to leave. And after you turn 25, they pretty much take you to the war straight up. But my dad, he's a little bit older, so he wasn't in that category. So he was able to leave. And obviously, women, they always allowed to leave and enter as they please. So fortunate enough, my family found opportunity to move. They're in Poland right now. They're sound and safe. Obviously, they miss home. They want to be home. But that's the reality right now, and just have to help them through it. And yeah, that's what's going on. And for my
Hmm.
friends, I mean, they kind of had to adapt. I mean, when it's situation like this, it's nothing you can do to escape it. Really, if you want to go out of the country, you have to pay mad money, and it's not even guaranteed that you're gonna be let out. It's just all types of corruption going on, all types of war dogs going on, like all that stuff.
Right. With everything, I know it's an odd tie-in, right? We're talking about something very serious, but we're also talking about you as a soccer player. But I wonder, with everything that's going on over there and the hardships that people are experiencing, do you know, do family and friends, are they in contact with you? Are they watching your games? Are they following you?
Some of my friends, yes, they are following me and they're happy to see me succeed. Some of my friends are still playing also. I have a lot of friends who actually play on a professional level. On a bigger stage, like Mudryk, he was at Chelsea. Zabarnyi, those were the kids like that we were growing up playing together. He's in PSG, the defender right now. There was this
Yeah,
other kid,
wow.
but unfortunately he had a lot of injuries and he could not break
Mm.
through. But he had more potential than both of those guys. So there was a lot of talent when we were growing up playing with all those guys. So it's nice to see some of them made it, some of them didn't, but that's just how it is, you know.
Yeah. And now you're going to be the next big thing out of Ukraine. Staying on the subject, real quick of the Strikers and upcoming games. You guys host your big rival, the mighty San Diego Sockers, on Thursday, March 5th at Toyota Arena in Ontario. You haven't played against them because you weren't eligible, as you said earlier. But the Strikers actually lead the season series at this point, 3-1, if I'm not mistaken. What have you seen from San Diego that stands out to you, and what are keys to this game, in your opinion?
San Diego is a very experienced team. They have very good individual players, and they play well as a team. Their counter-attacking ability and ability to press, they know us very well. So they were able to break us down in the moments where other teams weren't, just because we play them so much that they know some of our tricks, some of things that we do. So it's always a good game against them, and it's always very close. Obviously, like I said, they have tons of experience and very good performance in the team. But I believe if we do what we've been doing all season, just kind of improving it, finding the balance, eliminating the mistakes, we can definitely win this game again.
Amazing, and hopefully we'll see 3, 4, 5, 6 goals from you in that game. Right? Obviously, a young man with a really good head on his shoulders. I'm really impressed with your English. I should say that also. You haven't been here that long. I had to learn English. It took me a really long time. Just so great to hear from you. So great to get a little bit of background on your story. And wishing you all the best of luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully, you play in that San Diego game. And
Yes,
yeah, all the best. Hopefully your family stays safe and your friends stay safe. And thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it.
yeah, thank you for having me, Gunnar. I appreciate it.
And Timmy, what a fantastic story. What a great interview to be able to hear from Zakhar. It's just so great to be able to have him make an impact this early on for the Empire Strykers as well. Obviously, he played really well in this in their match against Tacoma, but such a great interview as well.
Yeah, and you get to talking to the guy, you learn a little bit about him, which is half the fun of doing the interviews. And we got to talk to him a little bit before that interview. And just talking with them and seeing how good a dude he is, and then what he's had to go through to get to where he is now in the MASL is just, it's inspiring.
Yeah, Strikers facing another tough one there at home at Toyota Arena, took on the Baltimore Blast, and we're up 2 goals 2 different times, Timmy, up 2-0, up 4-2. But unfortunately, as has been the case a few times this season, they gave it all and more back late, out shooting Baltimore 23-11. So nice shooting percentage there for Baltimore, able to put 5 of the 11 back into the net. But Marco Fabian looked great in the first period, right? Like, it's great to see Marco looking as good as he has. And Empire up 2-0 behind 2 Munir Alami goals. The sophomore sensation back at it for the Strikers. But Timmy, what we talked about, right? They go up 2-0. They allow equalizers. They go up 4-2, and just 2 minutes to go, just a little less than, they give up another heartbreaking equalizer. And that's got to really take the air out of the building, at least for a little bit there at Toyota Arena.
Yeah, and it's a tough one to watch because, again, like you said, up 2-0, up 4-2, and then they just kind of melt a little bit. We saw this a lot a couple of years ago, and we've seen it a couple of times this year, and you just don't want to have these guys play passively. You want to keep it on the gas. You want to play smartly. And I think we saw a little bit more of that in the Tacoma game, where they went up 2-0 early. They did get it to 3-0 before the end of the first quarter. But then you saw a couple of goals come back, and you kind of, you're sitting in the arena, and I was sitting down lower this game, and you just kind of felt every 6,200 people go, and the air sucked out. And then they did not play passively. They played a lot more smartly. And they ended up thumping Tacoma 10-2 at the end of the day.
Yeah, Timmy, you mentioned it. We'll just say first and foremost to close out Baltimore. Unfortunately, Baltimore got the game winner with less than 3 minutes left. So just the 1 point for the regulation draw for the Empire Strykers. But in front of 6,200 at Toyota Arena, it wasn't just a victory. You said the scoreline already. 10-2 in an absolute dismantling of Tacoma, and a record night for Empire's record player. That would be Justin Stinson, and I know Philly loves to call him the Stinger. 2 goals, 4 assists, tying the team record for most points in a single match with 6, and tying the team record for career points with 185. So unbelievable night for Justin Stinson. We talked about Timmy Munir Alami with 2 goals in the first game that we just went over. How about 2 more to go with an assist here on this one? And Berto Palmer, I mean, how great is our captain, Robert Palmer? 2 goals and 3 blocks in this one. And you're right, Timmy, 5-0 before that pair of goals, right? And that makes you squirm a little bit, makes you think. But that 5th goal was scored by Zakhar Shkidchenko, who we just talked to. And, oh, by the way, to get us back on the scoring end, it was another bookend goal by Shkidchenko. So this kid already paying huge dividends super early.
Yeah, and it's great to see. I mean, I've been hearing about this kid for the past couple of months, in the front office at the Strikers, talking about him and getting him on the field. And to see him come out, play well against Baltimore, and then get a couple of markers in the Tacoma game, it's great to see, because this kid is going to be a good player for a long time in the league.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, Berto Palmer named Defensive Player of the Week for the 3rd time in 25-26, 2 goals, 2 assists, and 6 blocks in the Strikers' 2 most recent wins. And they're going to play San Diego Sockers at home March 5th. Go to theempirestrykers.com, and that's Strikers with a Y, for tickets. So make sure you get out there to Toyota Arena Also, make sure that we check in with our good friends over at National Core. National Core is one of the nation's largest nonprofit affordable housing developers and a proud sponsor of your MASL team, the Empire Strykers. At National Core, they believe that soccer has the power to transform lives just like they do. They believe in building strong communities on and off the field. And to learn more about National Core and their mission, head to nationalcore.org. All right, let's talk Angel City. Let's bring back Kara onto the screen. Now we've got the trio of us here. And Kara, Angel City FC, another match out at Coachella, that beautiful scene over there at the Polo Grounds at Coachella Valley. Unfortunately for this one, they fell 1-0 to the Seattle Reign to close out their Coachella Valley Invitational. But all eyes were certainly on one player making their debut for Angel City, and that would be record-breaking defender Emily Sams. Now, I know, Kara, you've been watching Emily Sams quite a bit. Talk to us about what a player of her caliber brings to the table for Angel City.
Yeah, Emily Sams gives Angel City a true modern center back. She's elite defensively, but she's also very effective in possession. Tactically, she's a right-sided center back who's comfortable stepping into the midfield during build-up. She breaks lines with her passing, stays composed under pressure, and she'll really allow Angel City to hold a higher line defensively. But I'm most excited about how naturally she pairs alongside Sarah Gordon, whose recovery speed and 1v1 defending will give Sams the freedom to be very proactive. Defensively, Sams is all about anticipation. She wins space early through interceptions, so expect to see more blocks than emergency tackles from her. Again, she's proactive, but she's very reliable. And it was that consistency that earned her the 2024 NWSL Defender of the Year when she was the anchor of the backline in Orlando's championship season. So this is a new signing with international experience. She's shown the same composure with the U.S. women's national team as we've seen her have in league play. And for Angel City, the Sams-Gordon partnership will be all about balance between ball progression and defensive coverage. I'm confident that this signing means ACFC now has a backline that can finally be capable of dictating games, not just surviving them.
Yeah, a budding superstar no longer. She crashed through the doors in 2024. All she did was win the Olympic gold medal. 2024, like you said, NWSL Defender of the Year. Orlando won the championship and the Shield that year. She was named to Best 11. I don't know how much more you can do in a single year, but I do want to ask you one other follow-up question on that. You represented your country of Canada at the highest levels in the World Cup and in the Olympics. Well, just this last month, January 27th, she not only gets her first call up and call in to the U.S. women's national team, she scores in the 5-0 win over Chile with a captain's armband on. What does that mean for Emily Sams moving forward?
That's incredibly impressive for her, and the trajectory of her career has been very impressive, but this is definitely a big moment. And I think that that's just more experience that she is going to bring to Angel City. To wear the captain's armband for your full women's national team is huge. So that's another element that she will provide now in terms of leadership and just the international experience alone. There's really nothing like playing for your country in terms of stakes. Like, the stakes will never be higher than that. And she's already won a gold medal, but it's another thing to be a captain of a full women's national team when you are, think about the players on that team that she's leading. And now for her to come back to Angel City, and she's got a bunch of young players to kind of take under her wing, I think it's going to bode very well for this club.
Yeah, Timmy, a couple players I want to talk to you about. First, Savvy King, who started for the second consecutive match. She played the entire first half now. So you can see Coach Strauss kind of giving her more minutes, giving her a little bit of a longer leash out there to see how she feels after some more playing time here. Again, we've talked about the inspirational story. And also in that first half, Timmy, Hannah Siebert starting in goal and keeping a clean sheet. Those two players I feel like we're going to be talking quite a bit about here on Soccer in 60 over the course of the season.
Yeah, for sure. I see them being on our best 11 multiple times this year, because with somebody like Savvy King, who is just an excellent player in her own right, just to be able to getting back into game shape And Alex Strauss is doing it the right way. 30 minutes in the first game, 45 in this one. I think it's the right way to do it, and she's going to be starting before too long regular season. And then to have Hannah Siebert come in, keep that clean sheet like you mentioned. Again, Alex Strauss wants that goaltender battle to be a battle every day at practice, and it's going to be. So expect to see Hannah Siebert on the pitch a little bit more often than one would typically think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Coach Strauss decides to do there. Yeah, let me ask you about one last player as we get set to move off of Angel City. Ari Borges, who obviously comes with quite the pedigree as well. Talk to us about what she brings to Angel City.
Yeah, you mentioned pedigree. I mean, she's with the Brazilian women's national team. She's shown that she can get the job done under pressure and be a game changer. She scored 3 goals in Brazil's opening match in the 2023 Women's World Cup, earning her player of the match in that game. And experience like that, as we just talked about with Emily Sams as well, goes a really long way. She's also another box-to-box midfielder, and she defensively also presses very aggressively and tracks runners really well. It's a role she handled consistently with Racing Louisville for 3 years. So she knows this league really well. I think one thing that she will really bring to Angel City is that she can also serve and finish on set pieces. So she adds a huge set piece threat for Angel City. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing her getting on the end of some of those set pieces and putting them away.
Well, listen, we've got our own huge threat here on Soccer in 60 with Cara Romero checking back in with us again this episode. Cara, again, thank you so much for being a part of Soccer in 60, and we hope to have you back next week.
Thank you. I will be.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Cara.
All right, Timmy, it's time to talk some Orange County Soccer Club, and not a ton again in the news, although the preseason bus is rolling down the track. And this one against AV Alta, one of the upstarts in USL over the last couple of years. Obviously, Orange County Soccer Club entrenched in USL Championship, but always good to be able to play the boys from Lancaster. Look, I saw a couple different things on this. Initially, I think I got that it was a 1-0 win for Orange County Soccer Club. I'm not even 100% sure what the final score was because, of course, these are behind closed doors. I mean, it's hard to get MLS-friendly scores, let alone USL Championship scores as well. But as Orange County keeps their preseason bus rolling, what are you looking for, Timmy?
I think the biggest thing that I'm looking for from the team and Coach Stone is just like what we're looking for with the other teams, especially with Angel City, now that the Galaxy and LAFC are underway, is you got to get these guys into game shape from game one. The biggest thing is they're 3 points now or 3 points at the end of August. And it's you can't win a championship in March and April, but you can sure lose one, right? You can miss the playoffs by laying a goose egg the first month or two. So that's what I'm really looking for. I'm looking for guys like Nico Benalcazar to really take a much bigger leadership role on the team. I'm looking for Liam McKinnon to get up to game shape. And then I want to see what that kid can do, what McKinnon can do for a full season healthy. Because last year it was unfortunate, but this year I think he's going to play really, really strong. And I think with him and Zubak and Usmansilla, I think these guys are really going to play strong. And Brewer and the whole crew, I think Orange County fans are going to be very, very happy with what they're seeing on the pitch. And now there's 7,000 of us that can get into the arena, right?
Yeah, look, that might be the most exciting development of the offseason, right? With the ownership announcing the expansion. You said 7, right? But eventually it's going to be 10 in not too long, and then hopefully 15 down the road. Let me ask you, you've been going to games at the Champ now for quite some time. You've seen it at its best in its former configuration. What will that mean to Orange County soccer in general, not just Orange County Soccer Club, but to the entire atmosphere, to the entire feel down there in Orange County once they get that up to speed at 10,000 or even 15,000?
I think it's going to be insane. I think because of the way the Champ is constructed, you're on top of the field. There's not a whole lot of room between the stands and the fans, which is great. You're right on top and you can really get into it. And even with the 5,500 configuration the past several, the entire time, but now with 7,000 and the way they've constructed it, it's really, really tight in the corners They've expanded a couple of the family sections and stuff. It's going to be amazing to go see games in this newly constructed. And I can only imagine what it's going to be like with 10 or 15,000 people screaming their heads off in that rink.
Yeah, listen, I think it'll also bode well for who they'll be able to get in the building there. Maybe they'll get some preseason matches against some of the bigger clubs, not just in the Southland, but MLS clubs, maybe international clubs. They've already seen the international pedigree. They've got relationships with, I think, Rangers and a bunch of other clubs too. So wouldn't that be absolutely incredible, Timmy, getting Rangers out to the champ maybe for an exhibition match or something? That'd be fun.
I think it'd be amazing. I could easily see something like that. I mean, look at what Wrexham did. Wrexham came out and had the U.S. tour. Yep. You could easily put something like that in there. And then when you really look at it, the U.S. men's national team and one other international club for the World Cup are going to be training in Irvine. So think about that. You put that on your resume, having a national team practice at your facility. It'll be pretty cool.
And now it's time for one of our favorite segments here on Soccer in 60. This is Best 11, and we had to wait until that Galaxy match out at Dignity Health Sports Park ended. That's why we've got Gunnar here on screen, so you can actually direct all your questions, comments, and concerns to that man right up there. That's who puts together Best 11. Let's go through it right now. It's goalkeeper Thomas Asal for his exploits for LAFC against Real España. On the back line, Berto Palmer for his Empire Strykers against Tacoma. Ryan Hollingshead and Nkosi Tafari for their effort against Real España for LAFC. In the midfield, Matthew Chouanier, LAFC against Real España. Joseph Painsel for Galaxy's match at San Miguelito. Edwin Cerrillo's effort for Galaxy's match here at home, the one that Gunnar just saw there at Dignity Health Sports Park. And look, midfielder Justin Stinson had himself a day against Tacoma. More on him in just a second for the Strikers. Your forwards, Denis Bouanga and Heung-min Son for their exploits against Miami. And Munir Alami, the sophomore sensation for the Strikers against Tacoma. But listen, we want to give all our flowers, all our love, Gunnar, to Justin Stinson, who had himself the record-setting day at Toyota Arena against Tacoma.
Absolutely. You and I off the air just talked captaincy. I had accidentally given it to Denis Bouanga, and what an oversight. I mean, how could you not give it to Mr. Justin Stinson? He is now a club legend. It doesn't seem like it because he's only, 28, 29, but he's played in, I think, over 150 games for the Strikers. It's insane. And he has now tied the all-time career points record, club points record, which is absolutely amazing. And 6 points in one game. When do you ever see that? And the reason I really wanted to talk about him, he did not get MASL Offensive Player of the Week this week. Berto Palmer got Defensive Player, but Justin couldn't get Offensive Player because someone else also got 8 or 9 points. But how could you not give it to someone after such an accomplishment, such a career accomplishment?
Yeah, and really a capstone on what has been a fantastic career so far for Justin Stinson out there in the Inland Empire. They don't call this the fastest paced soccer show in SoCal for nothing. That's our producer, Gunnar. I'm your host, J.R. Liebert, and we hope to see everybody back next week on Soccer in 60, brought to you by SAC.